Sheriff Dr. Baxter, District Attorney Sandra. My name is Chris Hutchin. I'm here for the verification, validation, confirmation of the crime. Prosecutors never talk to court. I have been in jail 6 times, and 6 times a prosecutor from the Monmouth County District Attorney's Office of you, Sandra, has not uttered one syllable. I will read Freedom of Information Law, and then use my prosecutor's silence and refuse. This is the Freedom of Information Law that's been written this morning. There are 19. Are we all 19? We refuse to go out all 19. As I read these, if you watch me, I don't know if you watch me, because I'm talking to the United States Department of Justice. No one watches the Sheriff's Office, Attorney's Office. I'll say I'll attempt to contact them. So, I have been in contact with you with what I'm about to read again. This is the Freedom of Information Law that you received on September 25th, September 27th, September 29th, October 1st. Now, for the 5th time since September 25th, you received this Freedom of Information Law part of it. What I hold in my hand here, you will receive tomorrow. That's certified mail-return receipt for this. You will sign for it. Please refuse to sign for it. Then come back. It's not tell the Department of Justice you're afraid to sign for the mail from me. So right here, I'm going to point to this Todd, Sandra, and Alex Renzi, the official finger of Brooklyn, New York. I'm giving it to you. It's right here. 130 South Plymouth Avenue. See that? That's you. Todd Baxter. You understand what I'm talking about? Sandra Doorley, 47 South with you. Got that? Alex Renzi? 99 Exchange for what? You understand? This has been sent. Now, Todd, I was evicted by my psychopath father from Sunline Mills from my residence, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, in Penfield, without a court order. Requires court order stated law. From the research I've done online, talking to the 10th Defense Project in Rochester, they just locked the doors, locked me out. I slept in Harris Rental Park for 3 weeks because of Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano. And when I write the criminal complaint, I have to be in that car, and also it happened to be in Wegmans. You will not arrest Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano. I'm going to say this again for your edification. You corrupt thief, Sandra Doorley. It's a crime in the state of New York for a landlord to lock the door and lock the tenant out without a court order. Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano committed that crime. And before I would go to sleep in Harris Rental Park, I'd be at Wegmans till midnight. This is the heart of gold with people that I've encountered. The Wegmans employees had to know, even though I never had a conversation with any of them, that I had nowhere to go because I would be there from 6 p.m. to midnight. And I would buy products. I would buy food, I'd buy drinks, because I was hungry, but also I would be buying products as an excuse to be in Wegmans. I'm here because I'm a customer. I think I spent $10 a day, and I was trying to budget my money to be in Wegmans. It's the hearts of gold. They had to know I had nowhere to go. And at midnight, about 5 minutes to midnight, an employee would come to me and say words to the effect, "We're closing at midnight, cafe," and I would leave. And there was no hatred or animosity or anything from these Wegmans employees. So what I'm going to do is contact Danny and Colleen Wegman and tell them about the way I was treated. And I have no idea who these employees are, but they could have kicked me out and said, "Don't come back here. You come here for 5-6 hours from 6 p.m. to 12 p.m. Families are here, and there you are with your backpack and your phone." And I wasn't showering either because I had nowhere to go. I looked like a freak show. You turned me into a freak show. And they let me stay there at Wegmans. And I would leave every night at 11:55, and I'd leave Wegmans, the cafe, walk across Penfield Road, and I'd go sleep in the park. And when it would rain on me, I'd leave Harris Rental Park, and I'd go sleep underneath the trucks at Target. And sometimes at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, when I'm loading the trucks, I had to leave from underneath the trucks at Target and then walk through the rain and try to find another place to sleep. This is the consequences of an illegal eviction. I'm going to detail what happened to me in that park with the wild animals too, and the rain coming down on me, and the strangers appearing right beside me. And you will not arrest Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano. because you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, don't know what constitutes a criminal act. And you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, will not prosecute Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano because you do not know what constitutes a criminal act. They evicted me, and there are things I don't have in me that are gone forever. I've showed this before on the phone, and I'm not going to engage in any type of narcissism. But when an illegal eviction happens, you lose your life and you lose your possessions. This is me at Cobbs Hill Park after a 5K. I believe I showed this once before. I was in the top 20 in this race for my age group. You guys have my age, which I've been trying to do for a long time. And I don't have those red, white, blue shorts anymore. I look at them Target. I thought, that is so me. I don't have that white shirt, that number, those racing shoes, those Nike race shoes. I remember walking around at Cobbs Hill Park thinking, I feel terrific in these things here. I'm going to run really well today, and I did. So I don't have it anymore. You have things in your homes. Todd Baxter, Sandra Doorley remind you of your life, and I don't have it anymore. And you know why I don't? Because of a warrant for my arrest by this disgusting, vile, repulsive 67,000 Shannon Meyer for walking through this parking lot. That leads to my first arrest. Every single arrest for me as an innocent man. The first one is for walking through the parking lot. This is the sick lunatic fringe. You skinhead party switching staging criminal that employs $67,000 Shannon Meyer. And I've been on here relentlessly about her, and she is still employed at the sheriff's office, isn't she? How is it a crime to walk through this parking lot? I'm going to say this again. Even though it's a repulsive, corrupt hack from hell. How is it a crime to walk through this parking lot? I'm going to answer that question. There are 12 questions that I don't answer. But I'm going to tell you what the answer to this is. And after I tell you what the answer is, still not going to help. It's not a crime to walk through this parking lot. I'm walking through this parking lot one day, and this Nayrod Shaw, this 50-year-old man who lives with his 7-year-old mother, starts to scream at me. When he goddamn well knows people walk through this parking lot every day. Shannon Meyer calls me, and there's a warrant for my arrest. These are two of my neighbors with their dog. Is there a warrant for my arrest for my two neighbors? People walk through this parking lot every day. If you put your Monroe County Sheriff Office employee there at 7 a.m., at Sanders Farm Drive where I live, and then another employee at the sidewalk, they're going to see people walk through the parking lot all day long, a parade of people. And it depends on the weather and the temperature. Anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 people will walk through this parking lot. How many warrants for arrest for these people? Where's my 14th Amendment right to equal protection laws? All day long, people walk through this parking lot. I have photographs of people walk through the parking lot. My neighbor's right here, pardon me. So, I'm going to walk over to Wegmans. There's your vehicle right there. I'm leaving Penfield Road. They're constantly at Wegmans. The disgrace of you and your Jonestown Kool-Aid drinkers. There he is driving right by. Oh, excuse me, this is a female. Right by Wegmans. I left the sidewalk of Penfield Road. She's driving at me. I took out my phone and took that picture. Why are they at Wegmans? This is a private business. When I call you a word such as stooge, I think about the language I'm going to use. When I use a word like that, there's a reason why. You are a stooge, Todd K. Baxter, because your employees are on their vehicles, alongside a private business that is Wegmans. I don't care that it's a gigantic supermarket in Monroe County and everybody knows what it is. It's a private business. And when they're alongside this private business, they're not on roads, policing roads, and that's the job of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. This is why you're a stooge. Do you understand why you're a stooge? And the answer is you don't. I just told you why you're a stooge with your vehicles alongside a private business. You will never understand the language I employed to accurately describe you. And you are also a fanatic, a degenerate, and a sociopath. A sociopath sheriff puts a camera on a building in a private business and lies about it, which you have done. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm going to get to that in the Freedom of Information Law documents, which you received in different ways. Registered mail return receipt, which you are going to receive a registered mail return receipt tomorrow. This is United Parcel Service, which you should have received it. I'm not just placing it in the mail. I hope it gets there. Sign for it. So, walking through that parking lot, I took the warrant for my arrest for a $67,000 hack from hell, Shannon Meyer. And here's every single sentence from her. This is it. I took the sentence and then I responded to it. And you've received this over and over and over. And Shannon Meyer is still employed. This is an abomination, what she did to me. I'm in handcuffs on my front lawn because she set me up with 5 other of you fellow psychopaths at the sheriff's office. You know how? She told Steve Devin and Brock Hole she would dream on care ride your tractor alongside this residence where Chris Chichester lives. He comes out of the residence, we'll arrest him. How's that a crime? Todd Baxter, pay attention. Now, I walk outside. I tell Steve Desmond on the Broccoli Tree and walk in. Nobody knows I'm laying next to my legs. I walk back to my legs. Todd Baxter, how is that a crime? Are you going to exist in craving silence? And you will. And you will not fire Shannon Meyer for having me arrested for telling a man who's tracked and nobody owns the land next to my residence. And we had your six fellow psychopaths there. That's six Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that are deployed throughout Monroe County for real criminal acts and real violence in Monroe County. I'm just going to read one sentence from you. Upon my arrival, I spoke with V. Shaw, stated that HIS resigns property again today, even though he has been informed that he's not allowed to be there. There are 10 different lines in that one sentence. Upon my arrival, I spoke with V. Shaw. How is he V. Shaw? How is Nayra Shah a victim? Ask Shannon Meyer. And you won't. The blue wall of silence precludes you from asking the $67,000 hack from hell a goddamn thing. V. Shaw, he's a victim. How is he possibly a victim? The 1984 view is Shannon Meyer, who stated that HIS was on a property again. What is A? I've asked you this over and over. I'll put this in writing, especially when I contact the United States Department of Justice. How am I A? On his property? The property is a parking lot. I'm on his property. Todd Baxter. Well, so are my neighbors right here. The property is a parking lot. Does Shannon Meyer have a 4-year degree? Do you require Monroe County Sheriff Office employees to have a 4-year degree? Does Shannon Meyer only have a high school diploma? You skinhead party switching stooge and criminal? This is the property? Did she write to my two neighbors here? I'm going to hold that up so you can see them. There they are. Did Shannon Meyer write? Upon my arrival, I spoke with Vishal, who stated that A, and then the name of my neighbors, was on his property again, even though they have not been informed that he's not allowed to be there. And then I wrote here, in response to this sentence, V equals victim, what a joke. I'll call George Orwell about the victim status of long-suffering shot. So, I'm walking through the parking lot back from Gold's Gym. I hear screaming from behind me again. I never lie. I'm not going to read this because I've read this multiple times. I sent it to you again. This is why Shannon Meyer should be fired. And I'm going to tell you why you allow Nayra Shah to do this to me with his mother, Layla Kumar Shah. Because his name is Nayra Shah and he's a minority. This is a civilian telling you that I should be arrested, but not anybody else in Penfield. And you know he's going to level you with a false accusation of racism if you just blow this guy off and tell him he's a psychopath and he's ill and sick. And you don't even ask him. I know you didn't ask him. Does anybody else walk through this parking lot? Why are you coming to us about this just one residence, Chris Chichester, and not anybody else? Because Penfield High School students walk through this parking lot in red athletic apparel. Did Nayra Shah go to you about Penfield High School students in red athletic apparel walk through the parking lot? Because I've seen them for years. The answer is no. V. Shah stated that he confronted H.I. Chester today while walking through the parking lot of the above address. And V. Shah stated that H.I. Chester began to swear at him and told him he didn't care if he called police and displayed the middle finger at Shah. I didn't begin to swear at him and I didn't confront him. I'm walking away through the parking lot. I'm going in the opposite direction. I'm going this way to Sanders Farm Drive. Then behind me, I hear this screaming. So as far as him confronting me, he's sitting in his vehicle, screaming at me. I turn around and walk toward him. And I say, what's the problem? And he is screaming inside his vehicle at me and over me. I cannot speak to him. I said to him, what's the problem? He is screaming inside his vehicle. So as far as Shaw stated that H.I. Chester began to swear at him. He doesn't tell Shannon Meyer that he's screaming at me in the vehicle. Told him he didn't care if I called the police and displayed the middle finger. I displayed the middle finger when I was walking away from this guy. How do you possibly employ this Shannon Meyer? Because you're corrupt. That's why. It has an answer. Oh, pardon me, Todd. It's 4:42 on October 3rd, 2022. It's time for you to have sex with jail. Quote, I have a passion for jails. You know, what's your favorite sexual position with jail? Sheriff Todd Baxter, Monroe County. How come you can't control your language? I I have a passion for jails. You don't know what you're confessing. I've said this to you before, I'll say it to you again. You're confessing that you love suffering when you say I have a passion for jails. And you think this is language that's going to ingratiate yourself to the electorate. And what you're really admitting is that you're cruel and indifferent to the fact that you have innocent citizens in jail. If you're asked by Attorney General Merrick Garland or anybody else in the Department of Justice, such as Kristen Clark, the Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, do you share Todd K. Baxter of innocent citizens in jail? What's your answer? That's a simple question. You know what your answer is? It's going to be wallowing in that ridiculous, terrible habit you have when you talk too much and say nothing, just like you did with that interview with the Democrat Chronicle that I read. You talk and talk and talk. You don't answer a question. So I'm going to put this in writing to you, and you refuse to answer. Or it's going to be your usual blabber about nothing. If you have innocent citizens in Monroe County Jail, I'm going to tell you what the answer is. It's yes. A prosecutor's never talked before, but in your jail 6 times. So, A. Chichester. I'm an A. Ridiculous. I told you about my dog coming to my residence to seize my dog. There it is. People love their dogs. Every single fiber of their being. With one phone call, you're showing up to my residence to seize my dog. Freedom of Information Law. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have no freedom of cause. The internal disciplinary record documentation for employees of the Montgomery Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has recommended terminated disciplinary employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. What's the disciplinary process? Over and over and over. This is the 5th time you've received this now, I think in the last 10 days. Is your answer Todd K. Baxter, Sheriff of Monroe County, you have no disciplinary process? Is your answer that you have a disciplinary process and you refuse to disclose it? What was the disciplinary process for Brandon Beats? He committed a crime of robbery and you fired him. Were you disciplining Brandon Beast before he was fired? Should Shannon Meyerets, a warrant for Meyerets, walk through that park lot? Be disciplined and fired? Should Andrew Yalley charge him with harassment sex for sitting in the back seat of your Monroe County Sheriff Office after I violent act with Jermaine Bennon? Be put through a disciplinary process? Should Don Benedetto and psychopath Leslie Houlihan be disciplined to chase me up to my back porch as I'm running away? To cock attempted felony assault on my back porch, I'm told by Alex Renz in New York State Supreme Court that no such crime exists? Should they be disciplined? Should Lee LaRoque, your $91,000 hack that's 40 pounds overweight, be disciplined for being in my residence without a document that's a search warrant? She walked in there with a fraudulent piece of paper typed by $28,000 Paula Metz from Penfield Town Court. LaRoque contacts my psychopath landlord, Giuseppe Spano, Anthony Spano. LaRoque gets in, tore my place apart, exited with my Chromebook. Where's my Chromebook, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter? Please say the 3 words I really want to hear. I don't know. What's the probable cause for your employee $91,000 legal work out my Chromebook? Fire legal work or put it through the disciplinary process, but you can't because you, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, have no disciplinary process. Just like a certain party switching diva. The internal disciplinary record documentation for employees of the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley is disciplinary record terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Should you fire a district attorney who doesn't talk to courts and is a citizen, is loaded to jail? The answer is yes. You refuse to disclose their names to me. I do not know a single name, including the 5'2" 3-piece suit boy that Regina Harper, the public defender's office, said to me, quote, the prosecutor's not backing down, end quote. When Regina said to me, the prosecutor's not backing down on the phone, I sat on my couch and I thought, where is the vengeance in the heart for this boy? How come he doesn't even call me? Do you think it's unethical, Sandra Doorley, for your prosecutors to talk to criminal defendants or citizens that will make an appearance in court to get facts and information? Because it's not. Sandra Doorley, why did you call me to the district attorney's office for an interview about Houlihan and Benedetto chasing me up onto my back porch with this ludicrous, ridiculous concoction whereby Houlihan perjured himself to Michelle Crowley's grand jury? Why did Michelle Crowley call me? You know what the answers to these questions are? Every single question has an answer that I will provide to you because you're corrupt and you need a specific answer. But it is the same for every single question in this regard. It's because you're corrupt. Over and over. When I ask a question and you refuse to answer and I don't get information, and the answer is you're corrupt. The name's the salary of every public employee at the Miles County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd Baxter. On one page of your payroll, you get 12 employees that are paid $100,000 per year. I have not had the payroll, I believe, in more than 12 plus months. If I had the old payroll, the last payroll I had, then I could compare it to a new payroll and I could see how you gave raises. I will send to you, just like the district attorney. Since you were elected in 2017, Freedom of Information Law that demands your payroll in 6-month periods. So then I can look at all the employees that are the same since you were elected over the last 6 years, and then I can see how you gave raises. And you will refuse. And this is what I'm going to tell Controller Thomas B. DiNapoli to do. I will write him in detail and say, please demand his payroll, Sheriff Todd Baxter's, over a 6-month period, and then look at how he's giving the raises to his employees. You're going to see corruption. You give $10,000 raises, Todd Baxter? $15,000 raises, $20,000 raises? I don't know. My speculation is that you do. But the confirmation of it is if I have the payrolls in 6-month periods, and you will refuse. When I write that boil, send me your payroll in 6-month periods since the first day you took office, you will refuse because you're corrupt. The names and salaries of every public employee at the Miles County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. You had on the payroll that I looked at 15 employees that are paying $100,000 a year. I believe that there is no government bureaucracy in Monroe County where there are 15 employees paid $100,000 a year, not one. These are not civil servants. Am I correct, Sandra Doorley? Someone at the county Department of Health or one of the other agencies or bureaucracies is protected by civil service. But I believe that your assistant district attorneys, your employees at the district attorney's office have no such equivalent. And you can fire them for any reason you want, which is the way it should be at the district attorney's office. So you pay them whatever you want to pay them, which is the way it should be at the district attorney's office. The way it should also be is that when I demand your payroll, Sandra Doorley, since you were elected in 6-month periods, so I can compare the raises over the last 5 years, you should provide it to me. And you will refuse. You will refuse because you're corrupt. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, well paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Miles County Sheriff's Office, straight by Baxter. I believe your employees are in your vehicles and willing to sit in their vehicle somewhere in Miles County, or just drive their vehicle around in Miles County, accumulating overtime at the 41st hour. So how's that done? Well, I worked as a public employee in Washington, D.C. and all week, no overtime. But I would read in the Times Union of Albany and in the Washington Post about state employees and bureaucracies in Albany, federal employees and bureaucracies in Washington, D.C. that were abusing overtime. That's how I know how to write this FOIL, or that's how I had the idea to write this FOIL. How is it done? You're going to exist in that stone cold, craven, corrupt silence. Sheriff Todd Baxter. This is a FOIL, I believe, that will, one, enrage the citizens of Monroe County if they have to look at a list of the top 10 overtime earners. For example, one of your employees doubles the salary. You got a $60,000 employee nearly just $120,000 of overtime. Does that happen in the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? You know immediately the answer to that is yes or no, and your answer is refuse to answer. Just like a certain district attorney will refuse to answer. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, well paid beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. Your suits and your desk jackets, your party switching baby from hell. I believe you'll sit there at 47 South gets you. 41st hour comes to 50th hour, 60th hour, doing nothing. The desk jockeys will sit there doing nothing. And if they do make such a decision and exist beyond 41st hour, are they being paid overtime? If you have 15 employees from the last payroll I looked at that are paid $100,000, exist in overtime, where one of your employees, hypothetically, that makes $110,000, somebody's making $160,000. If you have your assistant district attorneys whose just overtime pay is more money than county employees at county agencies, do you have, hypothetically, an assistant district attorney paid $110,000, and yet that employee makes $160,000, and then the $50,000 in overtime is in exceed what a county employee makes? This is what I'm talking about when I say that overtime enrages citizens. And if I acquire a list of your overtime employees and I see that you have paid one employee, for example, $50,000, I will put this online. Hopefully, I'm going to be reaching citizens in Monroe County that are county employees, and somebody's going to easily reach the conclusion, if in fact they don't make that $50,000, this person made more money in overtime than I make in my base salary. What are the answers to these questions, Sandra Doorley? And your answer is that I should be arrested. That's your answer. Cost of taxpayers and bond rating share Todd Baxter spending taxpayer outset employment-related discrimination lawsuit for fair decline Title VII Civil Rights Act of 1964. Have you, Todd K. Baxter, been told about sexual harassment at Baldwin County Sheriff's Office? Is the answer yes or no? Again, this is the crazy silence of you refuse to answer. Do you understand what sexual harassment does to an employee at the workplace? The answer is no, because you don't give a damn about sexual harassment at the workplace. I've written this for 18 months. Todd Baxter has Corey Brown, the $131,000 deputy sheriff, ever talked to you about sexual harassment, as you understand the term, at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? This is a topic that comes up. Giving your female employees, which includes not only uniform employees, but civilian employees. I believe these civilian employees are at greater risk than the uniform employees, because at least the uniform employees have been through law enforcement and have been hardened by criminals on the streets and placing their lives at risk and danger and jeopardy. Whereas a civilian female employee doesn't have that type of professional countenance or fortitude or courage, because that's a civilian that doesn't know what it's like out on the streets. So you could have a civilian female at the sheriff's office or district attorney's office being harassed by the male employees, and you're not going to do anything about it. And a civilian at the sheriff's office that's being sexually harassed by uniformed male Monroe County Sheriff Office employees, to me, is more serious than a female uniformed employee. Sexual harassment is disgusting no matter what. But at least a uniformed female employee at the sheriff's office carries the weapon and has had training and possibly has a greater ability to stand up for herself than the civilian. Do you know what I'm talking about, Todd Baxter? Is this confusing to you? Where I'm making a delineation between sexual harassment for your Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that are females in uniform, and your Monroe County Sheriff Office employees that are females that are civilians. Have you been told about sexual harassment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter? The answer is yes. What have you done about it? If the answer is no, what part of 1984 do you live in? Cost of taxpayers in Monroe County District Attorney Sandra spending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. When I worked on Capitol Hill, there was a bar called Bullfeathers right next to the House Rainbow Building that I would go to on Friday nights. And I would go there with my friend Mark, who worked with, Congressman from Long Island. I really enjoyed that since I'm from Long Island. And he was Congressman Tim Bishop, my friend Mark worked for. And my friend Sean, he worked for the House Ways and Means Committee. And we would be there, the three of us at Bullfest, and we'd be talking. And one thing that would come up frequently is how the male members of Congress behaved around the female staff. And also how the male staff behaved around the female staff. I had my stories, and my friend Mark, my friend Sean had their stories. This would be ridiculous how often on the hell you would hear about male predatory behavior. Not only male predatory behavior, these wacky stories about some female staff and the way female staff behave. This is not particular sexual harassment or predatory behavior to male or female. And I've noticed over the last 30 years, females can be just as guilty and predatory as males when it comes to sexual harassment. And we would sit there at this bar called Bullfeathers. Sometimes we'd laugh and whatnot. And every once in a while, I hear a story, and I think that is really deadly serious. And this employee needs to contact the speaker or someone else at the House of Representatives and report this type of behavior, either by a male staff or the member of Congress, a member of the House of Representatives, him or herself. So I've seen this up close in Albany and in particular in Washington, D.C. And then I've heard my colleagues in Albany, Washington, D.C. tell me stories. I believe I told this story once before about I went to a fundraiser in Albany when I worked for the majority leader. This is 30 years ago. There was a male senator there with his female employee, and it was well known what they were doing together, and they were having an affair. And they had left the fundraiser, and then they came back, and then the female employee had her dress on inside out. Chef Todd Baxter, the Central Intelligence Agency, will purchase and install surveillance devices to surveil terrorists. And when CIA director and the employees of the Central Intelligence Agency use the phrase surveillance device, doesn't mean that they're mentally ill, because they're actively describing technology that either they use or has been used upon them, or that they're aware of and can identify. A surveillance device is a camera used to take pictures and video of other human beings and objects. And you bought one from me. And you lie about it. And you have lied about it. This is the lunatic fringe. You know you can lie about the lunatic fringe, even though, yeah, you sit on the lunatic fringe. Freedom of Information Law. Todd K. Baxter. The cost of the surveillance device purchased from taxpayer dollars by monitoring Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, fixed to a building 2020-25 Bentley Road, to monitor Christopher Child Chips at 26 Sanders Farm Drive. Walks through the parking lot next to the building. Now, I'm going to look for this on my phone. If I can't find it quickly, I'll move on. Because I showed it the other day, and I should have been more prepared, but I love to show this device because you're a whack job, Todd. And for you to buy this thing for me and lie about it, and then call Lindsay Barron, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, to come to my residence, when it's your contraption that you bought for me. I don't have the photograph. I'm not continuing to look for it. But I showed it to you in the last YouTube, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. You lie about it. I walk outside, I tell a man on his tractor, and nobody owns the land next to my residence. I walk back to my residence. When you descended on me, you 6 fellow psychopaths, took me to your jail, handcuffed me inside your jail. Your Monroe County Sheriff Office employee came to me with the video image of me on his phone, and he showed it to me, and he had this demented smile on his face. He said, I want to show you something. And I've seen the images by my public defender, Regina Harper. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, is that your technology that you bought with taxpayer dollars, or did you use existing technology at this private business 2025 Bentley Road stands? Cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Mountain Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, photographed 10 Mountain Sheriff Office employees underwater and reports the abomination of you, the sickness of you, the fanaticism of you. Where was this picture taken? I've showed this up repeatedly. I'm not showing the photograph right now or any other photographs. I want to get through this quickly. But I will show these photographs again tomorrow. Including Ryan Fisher at the Super Bowl, standing outside Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But why did you take this photograph? What's the answer? Did you know you took a photograph of the employees on the water pool? Did you expend taxpayer dollars for it? Where was the photograph taken? Who took the photograph? Who's in the photograph? Are you Sheriff Todd K. Baxter on the water in the pool? The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee Ryan Fisher attended the Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia with his team on Doorley Road on February 3rd, 2019. 50 times I've been there. It's the cost for a hotel, the cost for a plane ticket. Did you send Ryan Fisher to a conference when he's going to sit around and glorify himself and talk about how tough it is to be a cop and whine about it? How tough it is to be a cop. And stop that whining at the Sheriff's Office, Todd K. Baxter. You decided to be in law enforcement. First up in Greece, you decided to run for sheriff. Stop whining about being a cop and stop whining about how tough the job is and how your employees place their lives at risk. Do you think that citizens of Monroe County or citizens anywhere in the United States of America don't know that a uniformed officer of law that holsters a weapon is at risk at any moment and can be killed at any moment and places their lives in danger? Do you think you have to constantly remind citizens of this? The answer is yes, because you're in 1984. That's why. This disgusting obsession with the cops in America to remind people how they're in danger from violent criminals is ridiculous, and you do this all the time. Shut the hell up about how your fellow employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office place their lives at risk, because it's obvious. What are the physical training standards required for the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter? You have none, because you're overweight, Todd Baxter. I've seen employees in their vehicles, outside their vehicles on Penfield Road, at the jail, other places I've been in Monroe County, that are overweight. Why are employees overweight? Answer. And you refuse to answer. Total disgrace. The double dipper, Michael Radner. And I was incorrect. You're not the double dipper, Michael Radner. You're on the payroll for $0. But I thought you were double dipper because before I got the payroll, I thought you were just a salaried employee because I knew you retired, and then I thought that Todd Baxter hired you again. You paid private money to work at the Sheriff's Office. What's that answer? Are you paid money from the campaign accounts? I have not yet reviewed the campaign contributions for Sheriff Todd Baxter in 2017 and 2021. But when I do, I'm hoping you're on there for an expenditure, Michael Radner, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. I hope it's check after check or payment after payment or expenditure after expenditure about you, Michael Radner, or to you, Michael Radner, from the campaign accounts of Todd Baxter to you, because that means you're going to work with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office with private money. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know. But when I review Todd Baxter's campaign contributions, and if you're on there where You're being paid by the campaign accounts, for example, in the last month, or in the last 6 months, the last 12 months. Then you're being paid private money to work in the Mountain County Sheriff's Office. Who's at your jail and what's the name in charge? I will tell the Commissioner on Correction you're refusing to answer. The name in charge. I'm in there with a man charged with murder. I'm in there with the most violent criminals. I'm in there with the rapists. Man talking about how he beat up his girlfriend. Quote, I beat the bitch, end quote. I'm in there with a bank robber talking about the banks he's robbed. The name in charge. Separate your violent inmates from your nonviolent inmates. And you are such a buffoon, stooge, and halfwit that you don't do this already. Separate those inmates for the safety and security of the jail and to prevent the public relations catastrophe from falling down upon you. Have you heard of Attica, Todd, in 1971? The name in charge of every minute of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, Monroe County Jail, from January 1, 2018, October 3rd, 2022. Give me three names, Sandra, and you will refuse to create silence. I have prosecutor's silence. I have at least three prosecutors' silence. Documentation for the case, Christian charge testing for John P. Lemons, Jr. Pentagon Board, was in the prosecutor's sample. Documentation for the case, Christian charge testing for Paul C. Maxwell, Pentagon Board, was in the prosecutor's sample. Documentation for the case, Christian charge testing for Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court, was in the prosecutor's sample. This is for you. You got this today. Paul C. Maxwell, James C. Roman Jr. Because it was dated yesterday, and this is the new one for today. This is October 3rd. You received October 2nd today. You signed for it. So I'm going to read this. You're also going to receive this registered mail return receipt tomorrow. Who's in Penfield Town Court, Paul C. Maxwell, James Roman Jr.? A list of defendants. You sent me an envelope that's not a list of defendants. I have not opened it yet. I know that's not a list of defendants because it's so thin. You're refusing to send me a list of defendants in Penfield Town Court. Why? Because you're corrupt. A list of defendants in Penfield Town Court for Paul C. Maxwell. A list of defendants in Penfield Town Court for John P. Menzel Jr. A list of defendants in Penfield Town Court for James P. Monk Jr. A list of defendants in New York State Supreme Court for Alex Renzi. The Penfield Town Court is a star chamber. You know what a star chamber is. Fiction writers write about a star chamber. There is no table for a prosecutor. There is no table for a defendant and defense attorney. There is no witness box for witness testimony. And most important, there is no jury box for jury 12. What would you think if at the most famous trial of the 20th century, there's O.J. Simpson in front of Lance Ito, and Johnny Cochran and Marsha Clark don't have tables to sit down in. And there's no witness box for witness testimony for when blonde-haired Cato Kalin activates himself. And what would you think about that happening? How ludicrous is that? I'm trying not to laugh. Because, of course, the most famous trial of the 20th century is in a courtroom. Well, there is a table for a prosecutor. There is a table for a defendant. There is a witness box for this testimony. Most importantly, is a jury 12. Penfield Town Court doesn't have any of these common qualities of a courtroom. So, listen to me. You party-switching, nauseating, corrupt criminal Davis Sandra. Redirect defendants away from Paul C. Metz from James P. Monk Jr. effectively shut down Penfield Town Court and send them to another jurisdiction where they can receive a fair hearing. Do you understand me, Sandra Doorley? The reason why you won't refuse is you want that guilty declaration. I'm not even going to say verdict because the verdict comes from a jury. You're destroying lives with one judge, Paul C. Metzer, James P. Monk Jr., and John P. Lomenzo Jr. before Paul C. Metzer. And it does not matter to you, Sandra Doorley, because you're corrupt. Todd, you know what time it is? It's 5:05 p.m. It's time for you to have sex with jail, Todd. Quote, I have a passion for jails. What is wrong with you? How do you possibly use that language? It really is astonishing that a mental midget and sociopath like you is elected sheriff. And the reason why you were elected sheriff is that your 16-year incumbent predecessor was ready to go. You were an accident of history, Todd K. Baxter, and you don't know. So on September 27, 2022, I sent this to you, and this is on YouTube. And there's a TikTok, which is an app I'm using. It's only 3 minutes that I'm going to send to the United States Department of Justice. You think I'm talking to you when I say these TikTok ads. I'm not. It's 3 minutes. I'll have a transcript from each, and I'll send it to the United States Department of Justice, the Office of Government Captain Local, the United States Attorney for Western District of New York, Attorney Ross, Sharon the House Judiciary Committee, Sharon the Senate Judiciary Committee. Every time I'm on this app with those 3 minutes, I have the transcript. I take the transcript and then I file that away, and I'm going to send it to Department of Justice. But this is what I sent you on September 27, 22. Sandra, Doorley, Todd, Baxter, your addresses. Mail the information in the 18 attached freedom of informational documents dated September 27, 2022 to the address of the foil. You receive this documentation via certified mail return receipt today. Capiche? Capiche is Italian for understand. Resign. And I call this Defiance, this YouTube, and then I have on TikTok here. And the title of it is Foil, Registered Mail Return Receipt to Todd K. Baxter, Sandra Doorley, Alex Renzi, Paul Simon, for James Young Jr. That's it. I mailed that to your office. You got it. I'm on YouTube. I'm on this TikTok app. I'm on YouTube again. And one thing about Gmail, I sent this from this Gmail account, c2621020@gmail.com. And that's it. That's why I use Gmail, because I can send it to you and reach you. I'm trying to communicate with you, to tell you that you're corrupt. But more importantly, it's to demand information, such as my prosecutor's silence, which you refuse to disclose, just like Penfield Town Court refused to disclose the names of defendants. There it is right there. What I just read to you is placed in the mail. It says October 3rd, Alex Renzi, New York State Supreme Court. This hack, former employee of the district attorney's office, has $20,000 salary, and just declare me guilty without a prosecutor talking, without a jury verdict, without any evidence I committed a crime. Paul C. Metzler, you got that? October 3rd, everything I read, James C. Mullen Jr., and you'll receive it tomorrow. Sheriff Todd K. Baxter, and just return to Sandra Doorley. So, I was evicted from my residence by my psychopath about some landlords and being helped by individuals with hearts of gold, such as Robert J. Blank, the United States Department of Veterans Affairs, and have this affordable housing list. Because I was evicted from my residence, and they're helping the United States Department of Veterans Affairs. I have to keep it together when I think about the help I receive. I really do. By individuals with hearts of gold, and you would know anything about hearts of gold. Your heart's a stone. Gotta get back to Sandra Doorley. I'm going to say to you what I've said to you repeatedly. My 50th birthday is July 4, 2015. And on my 50th birthday, I have 2 speeding tickets. What do you think that says about my life? What it says about my life is that no one constitutes criminal act. It's not a crime for me to tell Steve Desmond to rock on tree walk there. Nobody owns the land next to my residence. That's not criminal contempt second. Fire $67,000 Shannon Meyer. It's not a crime for me to commit harassment second, sitting in the back seat of Andrew Reale's Monroe County Sheriff Office vehicle. Andrew Reale should get us 20 years. People make mistakes in life and he needs help. It's a terrible mistake. I was in jail for this. I don't have any type of animosity toward Andrew. Yes, I don't. Don't fire Andrew Reale. Don't damage his career. People make mistakes. It's just the way it is. $85,000 Don Benedetto chases me up on my back porch and lies about he's swinging a hammer at him, should be fired. Houlihan, whose first name I don't know, purges himself in a grand jury, should be fired. $91,000 Lee LaRoque, who's in my residence at 26 Sanders Farm Drive, it's no longer my residence, and tears the place apart. She went berserk in my residence, then exits with my Chromebook. Where's my Chromebook? Come back, she should be fired. $91,000 Lee LaRoque looked at my Chromebook, which was on a crate on the second floor in front of my bed, took it in her possession, and left. And where's my Chromebook? If you're asked by an employee of the United States Department of Justice or the United States the Attorney for Western District of New York, where is the citizen Chris Chichester's Chromebook? What's your answer, Todd Baxter? If you're asked why did Lee LaRoque take possession of his Chromebook, what's your answer? Your answer is, did you review his emails and search history on the Chromebook? What's your answer? What's the probable cause for Lee LaRoque to have my Chromebook? $28,000 bald-headed wig-wearing Paul C. Metzler wants to get into my residence using LaRoque, and then these two people, $91,000 Lee LaRoque, $28,000 Paul C. Metzler, enter my residence. How's that constitutional? There is no probable cause. What's the probable cause? You're going to have to say it's probable cause to be in my residence. Todd K. Baxter, what is it? I'm violently attacked by Siemens, Penfield Public Library, violently attacked by Wegmans, I had money in my pocket. I was giving this check, $61.39, the price of bonds. I talked about that repeatedly. It doesn't matter to you. It does not matter to you, Todd Baxter, that your employees are violent, that you believe in violence, that you celebrate violence. So this is when I look at this on my phone for my legal eviction about what I don't have. Now, this is the only thing I'm going to show, and I hesitate to show it because I don't want to be labeled as a narcissist, but this is what I don't have because I was evicted without a court order. All my research shows that in order for eviction to be legal, a court order is required. Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano, my psychopath father-son landlord, just locked doors and locked me out and took all my things from a storage locker in Webster, using my ex-girlfriend Laura Riley, and that locker is empty now because my sister Barbara Stamatakis from Glenwood, Maryland, refused to pay for it. I have nothing, I own nothing. My life has been obliterated by this illegal eviction by Giuseppe Spano and Antonino Spano. I no longer have that. That's from Penfield Education Foundation, 5K. 5K I ran, started on the track at Penfield High School, ran all throughout the neighborhoods in Penfield. And so third place, 50 to 59 male. And I could see the two guys older than me in front of me. I think I was about 17 or 18, 19. I was in the top 20 in this race. There was like 400 people in this race. I remember thinking, I don't want these other old guys beating me. Whenever I run a race, I always want to win my age group, which is the way I was when I was 14. Because there's age group separations, if that's the right word, in a road race. Well, third place, I don't have that. Because it's Giuseppe Spano and Anthony Spano. Sandra Doorley. An illegal eviction is cruelty. This is a personal possession that I no longer have. They used to fill my heart with joy when I look at it because I hung on my chandelier. And runners do things to motivate themselves. And I'm thinking, I want to get another one of them, and I want to run faster, and I want to run better. And I just want to do my best. People strive to achieve things in life athletically. And runners want to run faster and better. Even as you get older, you're going to slow down. I can't run a 16-minute 5K anymore like I used to. But I'd like to be able to get better. And I look at this medal. I think I want to get under 21 minutes. I remember thinking 21 minutes. Run 7-minute miles. I no longer have this medal. I used to love to look at this. This would fill me with joy. I'm going to conclude with this. You can see this over and over and attached to the PDF. This is the warrant for my arrest by the $67,000 Shannon Meyer. $67,000 Shannon Meyer said everything in motion is happening. If Shannon Myers never employed the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, I'm not here at the Rochester Public Library. None of this happens to me. And I was getting ready to move back to Albany or Washington, D.C. when she descended on me with this criminal contempt second. All I'm doing is telling a man who's tracked from Rock Hall Tree, I don't care. Nobody owns the land next to my residence. That's all I did. And I've been prevented from moving back to Albany or Washington, D.C. because I've been in jail 6 times. And I've been in jail 6 times with prosecutor's silence. You refused to identify Sandra. Fire $67,000 Shannon Meyer, the Wall Sheriff Todd Baxter. He's really from the wall of silence. This is blank, certified mail return receipt. I'm going to write my name on it again. My name's on there. It's going to come back to me over and over and over. I'm going to use the Freedom of Information Law until you comply with it. And you won't comply with it. Liberty's assault right to breathing. You Sheriff Todd Baxter. You District Attorney Sandra Doorley. You Penfield Town Court Judge Paul C. Metzler, you Penfield Town Court Judge John P. Metzler Jr., you Penfield Town Court Judge James Miller Jr., and you New York State Supreme Court Judge Alice Renzi responsible for the suffocation of my liberty.